All right, it's 7 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order, and Miss Willie's going to do the pledge for us, and Miss Lori's going to do the invocation. So if everybody please rise. You able?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we come in the precious name of Jesus. Lord, we come first just thanking you for enabling us to gather together one more time. Lord, we just ask that you come in the midst of this gathering. Lord, we ask that everything be done decent and in order. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for all the blessings you have bestowed upon us. We ask that you help us to make the correct decisions concerning our city and our citizens. Lord, we just claim the victory today in the precious name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, ladies. Roll call, please, ma'am.
Ms. Knowles? Here. Mr. Davis?
Here.
Mayor White?
Here.
Ms. Alderson? Here. Ms. Johnston? Here.
All right. New business. Corey, we'll let you take over from here, please, ma'am.
Tonight is a public hearing of the City of Mount Pleasant, Tennessee, regarding the property at Old Zion and Trotwood Roads, being portions of the following 3 tracts of land containing approximately 117.576 acres combined. The 3 parcels are map 111, parcel 29, map 111, parcel 29.05, map 111, parcel 29.06. Also includes a portion of Old Zion Road Extension, which is route number 08755. Tonight, the City of Mount Pleasant is holding a public hearing to gather information from the public on a revised request for annexation by owner consent of approximately 117 acres on Old Zion and Trotwood. The annexation is revised to include a portion of Old Zion Road Extension and to exclude any portions of the property that are in the city limits of Columbia. The Planning Commission met last week and voted not to recommend the revised annexation. The Commission's deliberation and vote on the revised annexation will be next Tuesday, December 16th. Immediately following the conclusion of the above, the City will hold a public hearing on the revised Plan of Services for the area proposed for annexation. The Plan of Services has been amended to include the revised legal description of the territory proposed for annexation to include the portion of Old Zion Road Extension that separates the non-contiguous parcel from the existing boundary of the City of Mount Pleasant and is outside the city limits of Columbia. It also includes a revised section 7 regarding streets and a revised Exhibit E. The Planning Commission met last week and voted not to recommend the revised annexation. The Commission's deliberation and vote on the revised annexation will be next Tuesday, December the 16th. In addition to these public hearings, the City will meet on Tuesday, December 16th at 6 p.m. in the Tom Harden Room, this same room, to hold a public hearing and vote on the second reading of Ordinance 2025-1035. That ordinance would assign a zoning classification of high-density residential to the property if annexed. So like I've stated, the purpose of this public hearing is to allow the public to address the City Commission on the annexation and the Plan of Services. The commissioners will listen to the public comment and use the information they learn to inform their final decision on these matters. They will deliberate, discuss, and vote on the annexation and the Plan of Services on Tuesday, December 16th. We expect this public hearing to be civil. To that end, keep your comments respectful and directed towards the issues and not on the commissioners themselves. For the benefit of everyone, the commission is setting forth the following rules. Number 1, each member of the public who has signed up to speak will have 3 minutes to speak. Please state your name and address. If 4 or more people would like to nominate a representative to speak, the commission will allow the representative to have up to 10 minutes to speak. Persons are not allowed to speak more than once. Interruptions or applause from the audience are not permitted or helpful and could result in you being asked to leave. The commissioners will not rebut public input or answer questions. The commissioners will listen respectfully and will take the public's comments into consideration when making their decision on the 16th. Procedurally tonight, we will have two separate public hearings. The first one on annexation, the second on plan of services. The mayor will call names from the respective lists that were outside. When your name is called, please come to the podium. If you are nominating someone else to speak, this is the time to make that announcement. If someone has already made the comments you plan to make, please consider simply stating your agreement with previous comments. Anyone who wishes to speak tonight will have an opportunity to speak. If you arrived late and did not have a chance to sign the sheet in the hallway, please answer when the mayor asks at the end of the public hearing if anyone else would like to make comment before it's closed. And with that, I will open it for the mayor to open the first public hearing.
All right, the first public hearing is a request for annexation. And the first person that we have signed to speak is Jeff Brewer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. My name is Jeff Brewer. Address is 4164 Williamsport Pike. I've spoken in the past about the different aspects of the history of this land, and tonight I want to speak a little bit about the legacy. People may not know, since the creation of the United States, there has only been 3 deed holders to this land: General Nathaniel Greene, the Polk family, and the Armstrongs. Greene received it as a grant from North Carolina in 1782. The Polks began acquiring it in 1807, and the Armstrongs came into possession when Edward Armstrong purchased it in 1895. Edward's father was George Dickey Armstrong. He went to war in 1861 with the 48th Tennessee Infantry. They marched off to join the army at Fort Donelson, where on February the 16th, 1862, they were surrendered after 6 days of fighting. Around 12,000 Southerners, many from Murray County, were put on transports and sent to prison camps up north. One of the most notorious of these camps was Camp Douglas outside Chicago, Illinois. Here, George Dickey Armstrong died on the 3rd of May, leaving his wife Elizabeth widowed with her 2 children, Edward 7 and Horace 5. It would be Edward who would grow up and buy the land in question from the Polk family. Why is this important? It's important because of legacy. I've seen the actual letter home that George wrote from Camp Douglas in 1862, carefully preserved, still cherished after 163 years. I know the character of his descendants and the high value they place on family and family history. Their homes would rival some museums as to the window to the past they provide. Items there are not artifacts. They're cherished heirlooms belonging to a family member long past but never forgotten. They are patriotic and loyal to their country, to their history, and to their family. Based on the character of the descendants that I personally know, I can almost guarantee that had they been given the chance, they would have wanted a legacy for their land that matches the character of the family that has held it in stewardship for the last 130 years. What you propose honors none of that. If you proceed as planned, you will be destroying the history of this land and the story of its people that have endured unbroken since the founding of this country. I ask you to vote no on annexation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Dr. Tim Johnson.
My name is Tim Johnson, 3104 Old Murfreesboro Road. I have been a history professor for 35 years, and I've spent a lot of time in Columbia and working with the Polk home here in Columbia. For years, I've told my students that history is like an onion. There are layers, and as you peel those layers back, you find more and more history that can be uncovered. This land that is in question has stories to tell. What are those stories? This is Polk family property at one time. It has always amazed me how the city of Columbia has done so little to really remember one of the strongest presidents of the 19th century. James K. Polk doesn't really get a lot of attention or a lot of credit, but he changed the office of the presidency, and just a decade and a half later, Abraham Lincoln and Jefferson Davis, the 2 presidents who were at war during the Civil War, they both followed his example for strong leadership as a commander-in-chief. There's a story that needs to be told. What about enslaved people who most certainly lived on that land. I suspect, pretty good chance, that many of them are buried somewhere on the land. What is their story? And so this land is more than just a potential for concrete and plastic and a few tax dollars. There are other ways to preserve and to create heritage tourism, to generate revenue, but to preserve the sanctity of the land and the quality of life that the people in this community enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you. Greg Wade.
My name's Greg Wade, 113 Century Oak Drive, Franklin, Tennessee. And I do have connections to this area, so I'm not just some outsider coming in and telling you what to do here. But as Dr. Johnson said, the land has many layers of importance. The nationally known American Battlefield Trust out of Washington, D.C. has this land marked as one of 38 important parcels in Tennessee that needs to be saved. You've got 117 acres there. The landowners certainly have a right to do as they please, no question. But there's 117 acres elsewhere that doesn't have this level of history. I've been involved in these situations in Franklin over the years, and every time our partners, both parties, walk away happy because that's how we do things in land preservation. I think that could be done here. There's also the issue of the economy. In the early 2000s, when the Franklin movement started, tourism dollars were around $150 million a year. Franklin, Tennessee just passed $1.5 billion in tourism. Sales taxes that people will come here and they'll buy your groceries, they'll buy your gas, they'll stay in your hotels, and then they leave. You don't have to build schools for them. It's a very clean industry. I would implore you to really consider this. Once this property is built upon, it's gone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Tom Price. Tom, you here anywhere? Tom Price? He signed up. All right, Kathy Overstreet.
Good evening. My name's Kathy Overstreet. I live at 1009 South High Street in Columbia. But I was born and raised here. Graduated from Halong, 1969. Worked at Stalker for 15 years. I still have family and friends here that I care very much about. I go to church here. I just ask you, please consider all the things that matter to the citizens and the people that have been here for years and years. Thank you.
Thank you. Bridget Davis.
Bridget Davis, 618 Brookside Drive. Good evening to all of you. I have spoken publicly before on the historic importance of this land that is proposed to be developed. The land is currently untouched from development. The Planning Commission voted against the annexation in the current plan of services. The proposed development should not move forward. This is about responsible growth. Nothing about this proposed 247 is responsible. Lastly, history matters. The very fact that I can stand before this council this evening and have the freedom to speak publicly at a public hearing in a city council meeting, that is in itself directly tied to what took place on November 24th, 1864 on that battlefield. Without battlefields preserved, we lose the remainder of what came before us, what was sacrificed, so I can stand before you today. What message is this council sending? The proposed protection of a parcel of land around trees that are historic simply does not cut it, because that is only a section of it. So I ask you to vote no to the annexation of plan of services. Thank you.
Deborah Davis.
Hello, Deborah Davis, 6770 Polk Lane. I've spoken before, so I won't belabor the point. I hope that you will consider voting against annexation.
Thank you. Jim Harrison.
My name is Jim Harrison. I live at 6419 Old Zion Road. And if annexed, my property will adjoin the city's new border. We'll be neighbors if that were to happen. So I have a specific interest, Mayor, about this decision. I've spoken here before multiple times. I've also spoken at the Planning Commission. My intent tonight is not to retell what I've already said, but rather to add to the public record that my position has not changed. I believe that high density, the R3, the annexation, is out of place. I consider this to be spot zoning, actually. Let me also be heard to say this. The current landowners, Shine, Adeline, Spence, better known as Sam locally, these are great people. The Armstrong family are good people. And I'm going to yield a few moments of my 3 minutes to recognize Lieutenant General Sam Armstrong. We just lost Sam on November the 15th. Matter of fact, tomorrow is his funeral. A great man, a patriot in our country. I don't want this body, I don't want our community to miss that. A landowner, part of the Armstrong family. Actually, he owns the property directly behind my house. I've spoken to Sam. He was a kind man. He was a good man. I want my comments tonight to say that. I hold no hostility toward the Armstrong family in any fashion. They have every right to sell as they wish. However, just because the Armstrong family asks doesn't necessarily mean that you grant that. So tonight I'm asking you to abide by what has already been put into place. The city ordinances that have already been approved and that are supposed to help guide and protect our area. So tonight, I'm asking you to listen to your constituents, read and obey what has already been written down, learn from the soil and the potential issues that have been spoken that could come our way. All of that has been provided to you, I know, in written form. So tonight, I humbly ask that you vote no, execute some wisdom, and not any level of greed. Thank you.
Thank you. Donna Harrison.
Good evening. My name is Donna Harrison. I live at 6419 Old Zion Road. And if annexed, my property will be adjoining the city's new borders as well. I have a specific qualified stake in this decision, even though I know that some people don't believe that because I'm not in Mount Pleasant itself, but I will be right next door. And is currently drawn this cesspool that is going to be planned in between Old Zion and Old Zion Extension will be my backyard. Each of you have been advised that this development is going against Mount Pleasant's own definition of proper R3 housing development. Each of you have been advised that this development is going against it. You have been advised that the caverns that are lying beneath that field will allow leakage to run into the Duck River eventually. So it may not happen tomorrow, but it will happen. And this will contaminate the drinking waters of not only Columbia, but Mount Pleasant. You also have been advised that the step system, edge wastewater, has not one working system right now. And that there are lawsuits against his partnership company for not maintaining these systems, again, in my backyard. So I want to go on record addressing the potential disaster of the neighborhoods and the neighborhoods that you want to build. It's my firm belief that if you all continue to pass this R3 housing and this inadequate sewage plan, in spite of all that you know and have been informed about, is nothing more than really irresponsible. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheryl Holly.
Cheryl Holly, 6439 Old Zion Road, adjoining property owner along with the Harrisons and the rest of our neighbors. The proposed step sewer system is adjoining my side yard approximately 300 feet or more. My house sits closest in any of the houses to the actual sewer field. I'm opposed, obviously, as for all the reasons that the Harrisons gave, to the step sewer system, and that have been stated multiple times. I'm also an adjoining property owner for the 765 house development known as the Old Zion HUD. I would like to oppose the 247 development and the step sewer system on behalf of the future homeowners who will be adjoining property owners to the step sewer system. You see, there are only 16 of the 100-foot wide lots in this development. That's the biggest lot, 100 feet wide. 13 of them are on Old Zion Road. 8 of them will be adjoining property owners to the step sewer system directly. Their front doors will come out and overlook this step sewer system, as well as one of the main entrances to the neighborhood, right there across the street from the step sewer system. Now, one would think that the 100-foot width lot would be a prime lot for that neighborhood, since there's only 16 and 13 of them are on Old Zion Road. So imagine coming out your front door on a hot, sweaty, humid August day, and what do you smell? You smell the sewer, because I'm telling you, and I've told you before, they stink. The little house that is supposed to sterilize or clean the water stinks. I've smelled it myself. It stinks. So these future homeowners may be silent today, and they may not be important to you. But in 10 or 15 years, when that system fails, they will be heard along with the other adjoining property members.
Thank
and you will see
Thank you.
they matter.
Thank you. Robert Lacey.
Robert Lacey, 1201 Shackford Drive, Mount Pleasant. If we don't do this, someone else will. Growth is coming whether we want it or not. These are just two of the talking points I've heard over the many commission meetings I've come to. This annexation goes against your own zoning ordinance. R3 development should be adjacent to downtown. Now, I'm not a numbers guy, but 4+ miles from downtown is not adjacent to downtown. So based on your own zoning ordinance, this should be voted down. This proposed annexation also goes against state law, which says you cannot spot zone simply for financial gain. This is the very definition of spot zoning. There's no R3 property anywhere near this property. Statements from commissioners would have us believe that Mayor Builders doesn't do this, someone else will. This is just not true. The reason Mayor Builders is here is because they can't get this proved anywhere else, and neither can anybody else. The city of Columbia cannot do it because it's not within their urban growth boundary. The county was never going to do it, and now they have placed a moratorium on building, and they can't. I've heard with owner consent. I'm willing to bet the owners of this property could care less if this property is part of Mount Pleasant. But we can't ask them since they've been forced to sign an NDA agreement. This annexation is driven by Mayor Builders alone, and when you vote this down, there will be no one waiting to step in and build on this property. We do, however, have the opportunity to preserve this historic property and do in fact have historic organizations standing by with the money to buy this property and preserve our history. All it takes is for this commission to do the right thing and vote no on the annexation and plan of services. I was also here when the claim was made that only 0.007% of the voting population was against this proposal. I find it amusing that the statement was made, yet there have been no numbers offered for those who support it, other than overwhelming support. Yet two of the commissioners have stated that all the people they have spoken to are against this proposal, and the public record that you turned over to Mr. Kittle shows there is not overwhelming support. Nor have we heard any numbers when it comes to the financial gain other than a lot of money or bunches of money. I can say that bunches of money won't be enough to pay for the lawsuits that will be filed when this STIP system fails. The waste treatment company will be sued, the builders will be sued, but of more concern is the city being sued, along with the individuals who voted to approve this despite being warned of the dangers proposed by this system. I, along with my fellow citizens, your constituents, urge you to vote no on this plan of services and the annexation, and tell Mayor Builders that they cannot buy our history or our water supply.
Kayla Counselor.
Lost mine. Kayla Counselor, 104 Thomas Circle. I oppose it all, and I hope you guys vote no.
Thank you. Commissioner Howard?
Thank you, Mayor, Commission, citizens of Mount Pleasant. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Gabe Howard, 1259 Redbud Lane in Columbia. I get to sit on the other side at the county level, so I appreciate the service that y'all provide. Let's talk about annexation. At its best, annexation connects development to existing city services. That is not what's being proposed here. This proposal is not traditional annexation, and in many ways, it's unprecedented in Murray County and actually across the state, and not in a good way. This development breaks the historical mold. It is not naturally connected to the city core. It is not being served by existing infrastructure in any sustainable way. And it shifts long-term risk away from the developers and onto the public. Historically, annexation in this region has happened when city utilities were already nearby. The development was contiguous to existing neighborhoods in your downtown city core, and the city could responsibly offer all of those services. This proposal fails on all three of those. Instead of traditional sewer service, this project relies on step systems. I'm not going to keep berating the fact that step systems fail. They've got a horrible track record across the state. On water, this proposal ties into CPWS, which is already strained on its current supply and actively pursuing a new water intake project projected to cost more than $500 million. Development and growth is not paying for that. The cost will fall directly on the ratepayers through 5 separate water rate increases over the next 5 years at 150% increase. Mount Pleasant should ask itself one simple question. If you cannot truly offer the core services of annexation, what is the benefit being offered here? The answer, respectfully, is one thing: density and speed for the benefit of the developer and the builder. We often hear the phrase growth should pay for growth. It's something that I've said time and time again. But the truth is, it sounds good, but it never happens. The long-term infrastructure costs always land on the backs of the hardworking, long-time residents through higher taxes, higher utility rates, and stretched services. I also want to clear up a misconception I've heard multiple times from folks reaching out from Mount Pleasant. Under the current Murray County zoning, this property would be limited to 1 house per acre, period. We've also added additional steps when it comes to step systems. And that's just by the right. And just last week, the Murray County Commission adopted a temporary building moratorium on major subdivisions so we can pause and plan for the future to build a community our children and grandchildren will be proud of 30 years from now. Finally, I ask you to consider the historic placement and preservation of this land. Once this land is...
Mr. Howard.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Brandon Evans.
Brandon Evans, 203 South Locust Street. At the October 21st meeting, it was proposed that the public opposition was, quote, less than 0.007% of the voting population of the city of Mount Pleasant, end quote. This number drew sharp criticism from me and others, but the mayor encouraged many to, quote, do the numbers, end quote. Unfortunately, the public was not provided with the exact numbers that the mayor was using, so I'd like to provide to the public some numbers for consideration. Some numbers will be approximated. The population of the city of Mount Pleasant using recent census data is over 4,800 residents, so we will approximate that to around 5,000 to account for some growth. The voting population is approximately around 3,680 individuals, so we'll round that up to 3,700. In order to find the percentage, we have to convert 0.007% to a decimal. By dividing it by 100, that will give us 0.00007. Then we take that number and we multiply it by the voting population to get the number of opposition. That number comes to less than a person. I'm fairly certain that more than a person has spoken out against this development, so clarification on how this number was actually reached would be appreciated, because I know the mayor is not dumb and he knows how to do numbers. Here are the numbers we do have. We have 133 letters and emails against it. We have 334 signed petitions against it, all of which are Mount Pleasant addresses, and the vast majority of them are within the city limits. We have 1,049 people online with verified signatures against it, with 63% of those coming from this area. We have an online vote of 1,700 participants on a public online forum where 90% of those people voted against this annexation and 10% were for it. Even when one accounts for overlap, the number is significantly above a 0.007%, and it only accounts for a sample size of accessible information. For the course of argument, though, we should consider what should be done if the people were overwhelmingly for it. In its current form, the annexation should still be voted down due to the deficiencies that have been shown in the plan of service, including sewer and traffic. Also, to viable alternatives for possible purchase of the land without annexation. And there are benefits to long-term health and success of this area while preserving the character and history of our area. There is a current moratorium with the county, so we believe that this would give us time to consider some of these issues, take care of the deficiencies, even if we do annex in the future. It is the logical, moral, and legal responsibility of all members of this commission to vote no on all measures as representatives of the people of the city of Mount Pleasant. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Michael Caslow.
My name is Michael McCavick Caslow. I live at 1522 North Main Street. Yes, I'm a resident of Mount Pleasant and have deep roots in Mount Pleasant. Better put my glasses on. In Mount Pleasant, my great-grandfather was born here, farmed here, and fought with the Bigby Grays in the Civil War. It was always my dream to return to Mount Pleasant from the People's Republic of California, and hopefully to have the honor of owning Rattle and Snap where my mother played as a child. That dream came true. I hope it won't be turned into a nightmare caused by uncontrolled growth. You can see that there are a great number of people here who share my concerns. Let's review what we've learned about the proposed high-density development. The land is not located in the correct area for such a development. It is not an urban area. It is agricultural. There aren't even any sidewalks. Across the road is St. John's, a 180-plus-year-old historic church, and the Polk Cemetery. Surrounding the land in question are people living in single-family homes. The church, the cemetery, and the people will be adversely affected by this new 247 multifamily development. The land is originally part of Leonidas Polk's home, Ashwood Hall. The National Battlefield Trust, the Tennessee Battlefield Trust, the Murray County Historical Society have documented the land's importance. It has actually been designated by the National Battlefield Trust as one of only 38 battlefields of high priority. That should be preserved. We have been told that Civil War soldiers may be buried beneath the soil. Mount Pleasant does not have the adequate infrastructure to cope with this enormous growth. Insufficient roads, police, fire, emergency services, water, mail, and sanitation. Even the proposed sanitation system, the STEP system, has failed in the past and most likely will fail again. Teachers have told us that the schools are filled to capacity. It has been said that this multifamily development will bring money into Mount Pleasant. Most likely, the property owners will end up paying higher property taxes, and all residents will end up paying higher fees for their utilities. This will be the result of the proposed high-density development. Mount Pleasant is indeed a pleasant community. Please don't turn it into a nightmare of overcrowding, snarl traffic, sewerage spills, and high taxes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mark Henderson.
I'm in the far off area now. I think it's called East Jesus, I'm not sure. I'm Mark Henderson. I live at 501 North Main Street. I'm here to speak out against this development. It is a bad idea. It was a bad idea from the get-go. This town has a history of approving bad ideas, like the landfill down by the airport. And I hope that the vehemence and the diversity of the crowd that you see behind me convinces you to vote no on this. I'm teaching social studies now to a bunch of 7th graders up at Battle Creek. And what I've learned from that is a lot of times you can pick up wisdom from the past. In this instance, today I was teaching about manorial estates in medieval Europe. And one of the sensible things they did was they always put their sewage off in a far corner of the estate so they couldn't smell it at the manor house. I'm afraid that that's what you've got here. This being the manor house, you've got this place off far north. You aren't going to be able to smell it down here, but it's going to smell. It's going to smell bad. Now, I heard a former mayor once opine that the landfill smelled of money. This will not smell of anything but excrement. And I'm sorry, but it's a bad idea. It's a bad program. You don't have a plan of services that will work. Please vote no. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ashley Posey.
Good evening. My name is Ashley Posey. You're probably familiar with me from the letters that I've sent you. I live at 8105 New Lawrenceburg Highway here in Mount Pleasant. I moved here about a year ago from the community of Santa Fe, and I have come to love Mount Pleasant and its people. I won't go through everything in detail. I've already sent you 6 pages of it. I will let you know that letter was probably 24 pages before Dustin told me to shorten it. But I did want to go on the record and let you know I'm opposed to the annexation and the plan of services.
Carl C. Estes, I hope I pronounced that right.
Good evening. I'm Charles C. Estes. I live at 1609 Terrapin Branch Road in Mount Pleasant, and I thank you for listening to me tonight. I'm against the annexation. I'm against the septic system that is sure to fail, contaminating the adjacent wetlands. I'm against the destruction of historical battlegrounds. I'm against further straining our infrastructure, harming our community and existing citizens. I'm against the increase in traffic congestion this development will pose. I'm against the erasing of our rural heritage. But most of all, I'm against elected officials being unresponsive to the voices of the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Lily Reagan.
I wasn't really ready, but I wanted to go on record to state my strong opposition to this annexation. I have emailed every single one of you guys personally, I do believe, so my thoughts have been already heard by you guys, ignored by most of y'all as well. I have created an online petition that has warranted over 1,000 signatures that show the strong opposition to this. If you believe in your constituents and you want to support what your community wants to say, you will listen to us. It's as simple as that. You have this many people that want to go out and show up that I got off work and immediately came here the second I got off work today. Instead of being able to rest and enjoy my time, I am here speaking in front of y'all. It is clear how we all feel. Listen to us or don't, it is what it is.
Thank you. Nicole Reagan.
Hello, my name is Nicole Reagan. I live at 2670 Zion Road. We've lived there for over 20 years, just like my daughter and everyone that's spoken so eloquently before me. At this point, I'm just confused, and I've lost faith in our leadership. I've lost faith in how we've gotten to this place where nobody's listening, nobody's answering questions. And just like the other people that have spoken before me, we have laid out everything from the history of the land to the laws that support our opposition, which is spot zoning, the environmental concerns, and just basically what our community wants. Please take these things into consideration. Please take everything that we've shared. And also too, as leaders in our community, I would really love to believe that this is the town that we chose to build our home in 20 years ago, because the conversations that we've had and trying to be super respectful, and I'm trying to take the high road, y'all, but the things that have been put on Facebook, the way that I've been spoken to personally, and just to be set aside by your opinion doesn't matter because it's going to happen anyway. It's sad, and I would encourage every one of you guys sitting before us just to do better and vote down this annexation. Thank you.
Thank you. James Reagan.
James Reagan, 2676 Zion Road.
I've spoken a couple of times here, talking to the mayor a couple of times, talked to Mike. Everyone has discussed and told everybody here 1,000 times how they feel. But it doesn't seem like anybody cares. And that's just the hard facts about it. And as we voted everybody here in, I vote every time there's an election. And it's kind of your guys' job to listen to the public. That's why you were voted in, to listen to us. As you can see, there's a lot of people here that's got to mean something. I know I've heard 0.007, all kinds of nonsense. The facts are right in front of you. Nobody wants this. The traffic is going to be horrible. I live right across the street from it, so I'm going to smell that for the rest of my life if you guys annex that. And everyone can say, well, they'll do better. This company is new. The principal owner is getting sued. So where's the common sense? They've never done it before. That'll be our first one. Let's try Mount Pleasant. So if you guys vote for it, that's how you feel. It's Mount Pleasant, doesn't matter. Stick it in. Because that's exactly what's going to happen.
Thank you. William Vertrees, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. That's the way it looks.
Got it correct. I'm not going to come up here and waste a lot of time. My name is William Vertrees, 1529 North Main Street here in Mount Pleasant. Been here 8.5 years. Love being here. I do think that this community that's being annexed and planned going forward is a nightmare, to say the least. To everybody else's point, there are so many factors that are involved here that point against it, and I see nothing that points for it. And I would only hope that my vote goes on record as no for this moving forward, and we use deep thought and consideration in taking this down. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Teresa Sparks.
Teresa Sparks, 3192 East Sheep Neck Road. Good evening. I'm here tonight to oppose any annexation proposals until the county, Murray County, and its 3 cities update their urban growth boundary. The UGB was last revised in 2009, 16 years ago, when our population, infrastructure, demands, and development pressures were a fraction of what they are today. In 2009, Murray County didn't expect to reach 102,000 residents until 2030, yet we passed that nearly a decade early. We are growing rapidly, but the foundation map that decides where cities can expand and who shoulders the infrastructure burden has not kept pace. Annexation based on a 2009 boundary is not responsible planning. It relies on outdated assumptions. First, it accelerates development intensity beyond what our current infrastructure can support. Cities may approve high-density projects, but the strain doesn't stop at the city limits. County roads carry the traffic, county schools absorb the growth, and county emergencies fill in the gaps, emergency services. Second, Tennessee law requires cities to provide services to newly annexed areas. But how can that evaluation be credible when the growth projections guiding these decisions are 16 years old? Finally, moving annexations forward now undermines the comprehensive land use plan underway. That effort and an updated UGB that must follow should determine where cities expand, where farmland is preserved, and where infrastructure investments have to go. Annexing ahead of that process locks us into long-term consequences before public planning is complete. This is not anti-growth, it's pro-planning, pro-taxpayer. Until the urban growth boundary is modernized with transparent public input, annexation should not proceed in any of our cities. And that's on the mayors of the cities and the counties to draw the map and to keep the urban growth boundaries in sync with our current infrastructure and our desire to preserve the rural character of this county. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Caroline Croft.
I'm Caroline Cropp at 2051 Trilogy Lane. I'm against this development. I'm against the poop pond, as I call it, that will be right there on Zion Road. Thank you.
Thank you. Chairman Grooms.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, and fellow residents of Mount Pleasant. My name is Danny Grooms. I come before you tonight not only as a county commissioner, but the current chairman of the Maury County Commission, but as someone who was born here and raised here in Mount Pleasant. My family's history has deep roots in Mount Pleasant and the surrounding area. They go back generations, roots that have shaped who I am and why I care so deeply about this community. I want to say first that I have struggled with whether to speak on this issue. I am mindful that the city has its own elected leadership, and I never want my position at the county level to place undue pressure on decisions you make. Elected officials are often called leaders, but the truth is that we are above all servants. Servants entrusted by the people to protect their interests and their future. The residents of this community have placed their trust in all of us to safeguard this small corner of the world that we call home. That is why I feel compelled to speak from the heart tonight. Mount Pleasant is growing. Growth is a natural part of a healthy, thriving town, but growth must never come at the cost of losing the very things that make this place our home. This historic land we're discussing is not just acreage on a map. It is a piece of our shared story. Once it's gone forever. And high-density development with a step systems carries permanent consequences for the character, scale, and identity of our hometown. Our heritage is one of our greatest strengths. It is what draws people here, what keeps families here, and what connects each of us to something larger than ourselves. When we allow development that is out of step with that heritage, we risk trading long-term identity for short-term gain. I'm asking you not only to look at the proposal before you, but at the message it sends about the future of Mount Pleasant. Will we continue to honor the land and its history that shaped us? Will we make decisions that reflect the values of the people who call this town home? With an eye toward the future and with a deep respect for the past that has built it, I strongly urge you to vote no on annexation and plan of services. Thank you for your time, and I pray that God grants each of us the wisdom and the clarity to make the decisions that are best for our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rebecca Bactweek. I'm sure I'm butchering that up.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Whitework, and I oppose the plan. I live at 402 Florida Avenue. Don't know if y'all realize this. If y'all make that part of Mount Pleasant, when you come into Mount Pleasant, you'll smell poop. Is that what we want to be known as? Smelling poop as soon as you come into Mount Pleasant? Don't think so, so I hope y'all vote no.
Thank you. Shannon McGarvey.
Good evening. I'm Shannon McGarvey at 6413 Trotwood Avenue, which is at the intersection of Old Zion and Trotwood on the left side. I live there with my husband and my 6 children, and I would like to go on record that we are against the annexation and the current plan of services. We are very concerned about road and traffic safety in this area and the small town feel that we bought our home for that we will be losing. Thank you.
Thank you. Joni Holloway.
My name is Joni Holloway, 211 Goodloe, Trailer 15. It is inside the city limits. I am here because I oppose it. My whole family opposes it. My neighbors, which I'm here to stand and talk for them as well, because they're elderly and they're not in good health, and they have signed the petitions that they're all against it as well, which they're all inside the city limits. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Gabe, you're on here again.
Good, Mayor.
Okay. Charles Hunter.
Good evening. My name is Charles Hunter. I live at 606 Halong Avenue. I'm here to say that I'm also opposed to this annexation and the plans of services. What I would like for each one of y'all to think about, where the Duck River starts in Columbia, how many communities it's going to affect as it throws through Middle Tennessee to the Tennessee River. A lot of not only lawsuits for the county, mainly for this city, but for the people that vote for it. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you. Charles White. Charles White.
Good afternoon. My name's Chris White. I live at 500 Maple Street, Mount Pleasant. Moved up here 15 years ago. I drive back and forth to Columbia every day. It's awful. Especially in the evenings, it's an hour for me to get home from Columbia. That's ridiculous. And y'all are wanting to put more houses. That's not going to work. The zoning, I'm against it. The step down. If you don't work in sewer, you don't know what you're talking about. I work in it every day. And it smells. There's nothing you can do to not make it not smell. But I want y'all to know I vote no against it.
Thank you. Wanda Stanfield.
Good evening. Wanda Stanfield, 1222 Southport Road, Mount Pleasant, Tennessee. I'm here. My daddy wasn't a numbers man. He was a simple man. And he always taught me, don't write a check that your hind end can't catch. So if this passes, that is what the city is doing. Taking a gamble on bringing in a few tax dollars while outspending in ways that we can't cover now. Please vote no to the 247.
Ken Young.
Good evening. I'm Ken Young, 1535 North Main Street. I've emailed each and every one of you about my opposition to this plan, and I would ask that you please listen to the Planning Commission, who has voted unanimously to vote down this annexation, and to also the Plan of Services. So I'll vote no on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Rita Castile.
Hi, I'm Rita Castile. I live at 6556 Polk Lane. And I just want to say I'm in agreement with everything everybody's brought forward today, and I'm against the annexation.
Thank you. Thank you. William. And I'm not even going to try it because I can't read it, but it's the same address.
My name is William Castile. I live on 6556 Polk Lane, and I am opposed to the annexation of the requested property. And I share the same sentiments of the other speakers here this evening.
Thank you. Jason Gillum.
Mayor White, commission members, my name is Jason Gillum. I live at 2704 Beaker Road. It's in the southeast portion of the county. I stand before you not only as a resident of Murray County tonight, but also as a sitting board member on the Murray County Water System. I don't have to tell anyone in this room what kind of water situation we have in Murray County. Right now, we have over 10,000 homes that have been permitted for water that have not yet been built. That number increases every day. We deal with it every day. I was on the phone for hours today talking to some of our city and county leadership, our county mayor, for the simple fact that right now, as my friend Gabe Howard made mention to, there is a 149% proposed increase that's facing everybody here in Murray County because of our lack of water and the situation we're in to try to provide that water for our county. I'm going to ask, please, that you consider doing something different. Take another path and redirect. And let's start stemming the tide of this growth that we have in our county until we can get our infrastructure caught up so that we are prepared for this growth. This development is no different. It just further adds to the pressure that we have on our water situation in our county. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jason. Kathy Hampton.
My name is Kathy Hampton. I live at 7238 Old Zion Road. My husband and I have farmed the Zion area for the last 45 years, and it is home. And this is my hometown, and I love it. And these people here love it too. My husband and I both know we don't want to see this happen to our county. This is a beautiful city. Don't destroy it. Thank you.
Thank you. William Buckner.
William Buckner, 1652 North Main Street. I farmed that land for several years, and the field that y'all wanting to build the sewer system on, I want to give a little bit of history that may help you with some. On the lower edge of that field, there's a 5 to 8 acre area that's got what I call a shelf rock under it. And if you'll notice, if you're headed to Columbia, on the right-hand side, there's a sinkhole. When they dozed the trees out, they filled it in, and it's already fell back out. It feeds under that road through that field. That shelf rock, who knows how far it runs back up under that field. There's heavy rock in places up there where they want to build the building. That system of 99% will fail because the rock is going to carry it to the creek. And I want to ask this question. Have y'all really looked at these people that build these systems, these private systems? The majority of them, when they get the systems built and get them going, they take bankruptcy and get out from under the liability. The principal owner is being sued. If he loses that lawsuit, you know what's going to happen. He's going to take bankruptcy. Why do you want to fool with them? They're notorious. Over 50% of them fail within 10 years. I'm going to say the first heavy, wet spring or winter, and you'll find out where that water's going into that creek down there. Because there's a whirl of water comes off that field, off of them rocks. I just hope that you'll really consider what you're looking for. Because I think what's going to happen, this will be one of these private deals that's put in the city limits. What's the state going to do when it fails? It's going to make the city of Mount Pleasant put the sewer system up there. Cost you millions of dollars to put it up there. And that's going to fall on the taxpayers of this city. That will put the taxes so high that the people on fixed incomes won't even be able to afford to stay in the city. Y'all really need to consider voting no on this thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Jerry Thornton.
I'm Jerry Thornton. I live at 6409 Trotwood Avenue, directly across from the proposed step system field, and I am against it and the plan of services. That piece of land has a few ties with me also. My family used to farm that land about 40 years ago, 45. Raised a lot of tobacco there. I'm originally from Mount Pleasant, grew up here, went to school here. And I found something amused me from a comment that I heard here one night. Not only are we going to get money off the rooftops, we're going to have people shopping here. Well, where can you buy a pair of shoes in this town? I mean, where can you buy a decent pair of jeans in this town? Hey, I remember 45, 50 years ago, you could go downtown, buy any kind of Nike you wanted, Converse, Moe's Frank, even had Levi's. You can't do that here now. Let's work on something else here in town. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Charles D. Estes, but it appears you've already spoken once. Andrew, and I'm sorry I can't read it, but it's 606 Florida Avenue. Looks like D-E. Oh, okay. Sorry, I just can't quite read it.
Yeah, my wife said the right like a doctor. No offense, doctor. My name's Andrew Begin. I'm at 606 Florida Avenue. I think we've had some pretty cogent statements here tonight. It's pretty clear we don't want this. It's very evident. I think what struck me tonight is it started off that we had a prayer to the Lord. But then you ask yourself, are we seeking the Lord and his guidance? Because if we're going to pray in his name, we need to be seeking the fear of the Lord. And it makes me sad because I look out here, look how many people are impacted by this committee. You've been placed here. Voices have been heard. Let's do the right thing. Do the right thing. You shouldn't have people sitting across failing septic systems. You shouldn't have people wondering, am I going to be able to get to work? Or am I going to be able to get across town if I need to? Because we have no infrastructure here. So I just ask that as we pray to the Lord and we bow the knee, you will be held accountable to that. So just remember that. Fear the Lord.
She does.
Fear the Lord.
She does.
Joshua Moore.
I'm Joshua Moore from Columbia, 360 Coleman Court. And I just wanted to come down because this is a historic thing. I've never seen so many people willing to speak up, but I wanted to express my opposition. It's a Civil War battlefield. It's got a congressional designation, and I think you guys need to take a look at that before you put a big housing addition in. And it's so close to the 765 one that Columbia is going to pass with Meritage Homes, and you just got too many houses here, and I just wanted to express my opposition. Thank you.
Thank you. Shelby Rowland.
Hello. I just would like to go on record and state my opposition to the annexation and the plan of the step sewage system. I can see those old trees from my front porch, so thank you for listening.
Thank you. Michelle Murphy.
Hello. Michelle Murphy, 608 Watkins Drive.
I've never spoken before. I don't have anything planned or anything written out, but I have emailed everyone. I've heard back from everyone. I appreciate that, except for the mayor and vice mayor. I am strongly opposed to this for many reasons, which you've heard. I feel like tremendous amount of enough reasons why not to do this. So there really is no need to go over all those again. I feel like it's very disturbing to me that we have to do this continuously. It seems like everyone's repeating themselves over and over for whatever reason. I'm not sure, but it's time to do the right thing, like someone said, and just let this be enough, please.
Daniel Nestorick. Daniel Nestorick.
He has sore throat, he can't speak, but he's opposed to it. Thank you.
Karen Jones.
Had to leave.
Brad Fisher.
He's coming.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. I wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but I'm just going to keep mine brief. I know a lot of y'all are mothers and fathers, grandmothers and grandfathers, and I don't think enough's being emphasized on the safety for our families, for our children. My daughter was involved in a wreck 5-6 years ago right there at the intersection of Zion Road and the gas station. Flipped her car, hit a bus, still no red light up. Somebody else mentioned earlier that I will touch on this. Y'all are leaders of this community. It's time for y'all to lead and listen. Thank you. I am opposed.
All right, Corey, that's all we had signed up for this portion of it. Are we ready to roll right into the? Anybody else care to speak?
Got one. Annexation. Yes. Got one coming out.
Sir, if I could get your name and your address, please.
Nathan Harris, 2030 Gardner Road.
Thank you, sir.
May I speak?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm against this. My family, my dad Kerry and my aunt Cindy grew up here. I moved down here just last year, and I moved down here to escape this housing and the way that it's spreading. And depending on how this goes is the difference of me regretting moving down here. Moving down here where my grandfather Bob had his shoe store. This is not the town that should be doing this. This is a town of farmers, of people that enjoying being here, and there's a lot of good things coming for this town. But if you approve this, this is not one of them. And I really don't want to regret moving down here, having to deal with the traffic. I have to go up and work in Columbia every day. And to have to pass through there around Old Zion Road and Zion Road, I don't want to deal with it. And nobody else here really wants to deal with it either. So please say no to this and do not approve this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else care to speak? If I could get your name and address, please.
Hannah Kelly, 200 Canaan Road. And I am opposed.
Okay. And what was the name again?
Hannah Kelly.
Was trying to make sure I got the address first.
You're good.
Anything else you'd like to add to that?
I don't think I can say anything that hasn't been said tonight. I've lived in Mount Pleasant my whole life. I love this town, and I just do not think that this is a good move.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, does anybody else care to speak? Name and address, please, sir.
How you doing? I'm David Landry. I'm at 1204 Bob's Lane. I wanted to bring up a couple of points that I think, as a person that wasn't raised here, what's valuable for me and what I think you're threatening. My perception of Mount Pleasant is of a beautiful community, rural, close enough to the city, but far enough away that we get peace and quiet. We enjoy this rural countryside. Moving here, I was surprised to hear about Arrow Lake, problems around Arrow Lake, and it tarnished my perception of Mount Pleasant. Similarly, when the aluminum plant went on fire, some of the pollution associated with that, my expectation is that the septic system that's being discussed now certainly isn't going to color things in a better light. I think it's important to understand the broader perception of Mount Pleasant as a place to invest money, to move to, try to attract strong and valuable money into the town, to allow it to grow and grow in a good direction. My preference would be to see us focusing on the schools, improve the schools. I think good schools always attract good, solid money that the town would continue to grow and benefit from. I also believe that there's a misperception that's being put out. When I read what the builder is committing, making statements like, there's going to be 2 homes for every acre, implying that we're going to have half-acre lots here with homes, and it's going to be spacious in a beautiful upscale neighborhood. But in reality, that's not going to be the case. These probably aren't going to be closer to 1/3 of an acre per each of the homes. Simply by the fact of the 117 acres and the number of the homes, and then how much of that land has to be carved out. These high density communities, we've seen the effect they've had north of Columbia. We've seen visually the aesthetic of what they have. We've seen the degradation and that they do to the perceptions of the community and to the general tone of living in the town. So part of me believes that you come into the meeting already with your mind made up, and you either look to the community to be a point that you have to prepare to contest again once you voted, or to use as a means to support a vote against this. And hopefully that's the direction that you're going, and that's what the comments here are doing, that they are giving you what you need, maybe push against stronger voices, maybe financially stronger voices, politically stronger voices. But I think that the numbers that we have here and the passion around this should hopefully help you give the strength to vote this down. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else care to speak? All right. We're going to close the public hearing on the revised request for annexation. Correct, Corey? And then we'll move into the public hearing.
Yeah.
No.
I do. I'm gonna put you back.
There you go. Just back off from it. Get my leg in a different position. No, I'm good. Just get my leg in a little different position. Thank you. Didn't I saw you one day? I know you trust. Oh, okay. Because his wife got the Tennessee. Yeah. How are you?
Well, how's that knee?
It was Wednesday and
Big time, so.
yeah. But it's I But believe me, you're right, it's been tough. Great to see you. Yes, sir. Mr. Rainey?
No, it's perfect.
Oh,
I'm good. It rains my uphill.
Oh, it will.
I'm sitting next to my buddy, just having some asthma problems. So
Be careful.
my wife's gonna be with me. Prepared, and if I can start talking to her, she's here, we got children.
Great, that'd be great. Murray and Williams.
18 cases.
Yeah. That's pure bird.
Yeah, but somebody says they like that.
Maybe what it is.
You need to cheer up.
You gonna get I just had a process. I just need to get it a little different position. That ice kind of keeping it right.
Well, as soon as Miss Willie comes back, I guess. Because they said no parade. I gotta say that. When she's back, all right.
All right.
Hey there. I had a question. We have 5 people that want to donate their 3 minutes towards the 10 minutes. It would start with Angie Lacey, Sarah Hunter, Jennifer Morris, Jared Stewart, and Margaret Daly. Okay, sorry. I try not to talk.
Are you who's been sending it or letting us know?
All right, you said Angie Lacey, correct?
Yes, Angie Lacey, Sarah Hunter, Jennifer Moore, Jerry Stewart, and Margaret Daly.
Okay.
And I tried to line them up like that because they're going to give 2 minutes to Mr. Pitt.
Okay, great.
All right, thank you. We try to make it efficient. Take one pass it. Hey, sister. I'm good.
Hey, Latoya.
Hey, is your leg okay? Do you need to put it up? Do you stand up on it?
No.
You want me to put the ice on it?
Start back. Y'all.
Yeah, that's not you ride. That's not you ride for a few days.
That's a nice Corvette right here.
Prop down and all.
I appreciate it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll get this thing started again. So with that, we'll have the public hearing, correct, Corey? On the revised plan of services. Anything else you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, we're good.
All right, Dr. Justin Kropp.
Justin Kropp, 2051 Trilogy. We've learned a lot through this 6-month process, folks. I think you ask, why are all these people here and why do we keep saying the same thing over and over? Why do we have to do this on the evening of the Christmas parade? It's because we have to. We want to be heard. I bring you no new information tonight because the record stands for itself and it's been provided to you in writing, but I'd like to say a few things that I have learned. First of all, I'd like to say that the history of that ground speaks for itself. I'd like to say your own planning commission says that your plan of services before you is invalid. I'd like to say that Edge Wastewater is a fraud. I'd like to say that Edge Wastewater is in bed with Adinas, a known bad actor. Mr. Mayor, you should read the federal complaint against him. I'd also like to say that whatever .007 means, Brandon, you're a numbers guy, man. You're the numbers guy. Whatever that means is untrue. I'll say that nobody has gotten up here in favor of this development unless they stand to make money off of it. Mr. Developer, are you going to speak tonight? Perfect. You can be the first one to speak in favor of it. I'll say that developers care more about people. Developers care more about profits than people. If they cared about people, they'd run that sewer to this field. The most important thing that I've learned here, though, is this community cares deeply for itself and cares deeply about its future, and that's why you have a room full of people. I'd like to show you 2 photos. I'd like to show you the first photo. Andrew. Andrew's going to help me. We come down here one night and we saw the new Mount Pleasant fountain. Clean water, bright and illuminated, in motion, symbolizing a dynamic community. I'd like to compare that to the plan of services before you folks. Andrew showed these folks out here. Turn around, show them. You know what this is? This is Ridgewater. This is what these folks trenched to the Cumberland River. So, make sure everyone can see it. They'll do it to Cumberland. They'll do it in Murray County. You have a choice. Which one do you want? Which one do you want your city to be known for? Dynamic community, clean, heading in the right direction. You want it to be known for a messy step system, wherever scarring a historic parcel, green malodorous sludge on the ground, high density development island like those monstrosities you see up on National Highway, urban blight. That's out of character with this area. Vote no on this proposition.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Corsi? John, you still here? There you are.
Good evening. I'm John Corsi, 206 Pleasant Street, close enough to walk here in the cold. Just want to let you know that why am I vested here? My family is one of the original families that settled Middle Tennessee. I have ancestors that died in the Battle of Franklin. We've been here since the beginning. And I served 23 years in the Army, lived all over. We moved back here to Middle Tennessee because this area is special to us. It's a special place. And small town appealed to us more than places even like Franklin or Nashville. And so we wanted to stay in the small town that is a special area. And you've heard a bunch of reasons, objective reasons why this is a bad idea. But I'm going to appeal to you as your neighbor. Don't do this to small town America. We're shrinking. We need to keep this place special, and on every level, this is going to be an unmitigated disaster for our community. And you don't want that as a legacy of Mount Pleasant. I beg you, as your neighbors, please, use some common sense with this. There are better things. There's good growth and there's bad growth, and this is bad growth, okay? So please, preserve our small town, what we have. Let's enrich it, but not expand it in a bad way. Thank you.
Thank you. Jason Fulmer. Okay. Shannon Shaw.
I just wanted to say that I voted for every single one of you, and you're lovely people. Okay. But I know you're going to make the right decision and vote against plan of services and annexation. I am very sentimental about that property. I drive past it multiple times a day. And I look over there and I love it so much. I love the woods and the fields. It horrifies me to think of you bulldozing that like you did Spring Hill. 247 houses, that equals 500 to 600 cars on the roads. The storm water coming off of it, that land absorbs so much storm water. Wilson counties learned the hard way with the step systems. I Googled, sitting over there, 10 negative news articles instantly popped up when I typed in step systems. I think that if you think this is inevitable that it happen, then you need to just move somewhere else where it's crowded and congested. And but I've heard that said before, that it's inevitable this happens, that change is coming and it's gonna be developed. It's gonna be developed. That's the kind of attitude we don't need on this commission, okay? We have a unique piece of property and we need to preserve it. And obviously the plan of services is not going to work. So I think the only reasonable thing to do is to vote no for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Robert Lacey? Yes, sir.
Same name, same address, 12-1 Shackelford. Let's talk about the step system. You were all here during the Planning Commission hearing on November 24th. You all got to hear our attorney stand and give you all the legal reasons why you cannot approve this plan of services. And it can't possibly hope to speak as eloquently as he did. The city has failed to do its due diligence when looking at plan of services for its development. It was your job to have an independent group come in and study the property to either confirm nor deny this property's suitability for a step system. Instead, you decided to believe a salesman's claims. Make no mistake, Edge Wastewater is selling a product that they are not even certified to sell. Edge does not have state certification. Mr. Nix is a previous officer of Adinas. In fact, he failed to mention the county commission when applying for the right to do business in Murray County. Why would he not mention that? Maybe because Adinas is in the middle of a lawsuit and half of their systems that they operate have failures. Have any of you gone out to that property and looked at it? I have. The land slopes in more than one direction toward that creek. What do you think will happen when that sewer water ponds? Maybe they'll do the same thing that the company in Wilson County did, and they'll just dig a trench right to the creek. Then you won't have to think about where that water's going. The land can't even handle rainwater. You've heard from farmers tell you that. When this system fails, it will pollute the water supply for the county. And then what? There will be a line at the courthouse to sue Edge Wastewater, Mayor Builders, and of more concern to you, City of Mount Pleasant, along with the individuals who voted to approve the use of a step system. Yes, individuals will be held accountable even if they are no longer in office. You have all been warned about the dangers of this system and the danger to our environment. There is no claiming ignorance when the time for accountability arrives. The amount of money the city will make from this development will be dwarfed by the amount that will be paid out to settle lawsuits. I would urge you to vote no on the plan of services, and if you can't pass the plan of services, there's no need to annex this property. Let your constituents know that you care about the safety of their drinking water, and tell Mayor Builders to find another piece of property. Thank you.
Shan Croft?
Good evening. My name is Shan Crop. I live at 6796 Polk Lane in Mount Pleasant. I just would like to say that it's been an honor for me to listen to all of these people who have done such diligence in studying all this and have presented it to you in such an intelligent way. And I am opposed to this in every way and just like to go on record officially as that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Andrew Croft.
I'm Andrew Croft, 2051 Trilogy Lane, Mount Pleasant. I'm 11 years old and I've lived my whole life in Murray County. I like playing with my friends outside. One of my favorite things to do at the farm is work cows. The property across the street from my farm, this development does not belong there. I may have not graduated yet, but I know that poop water across the street just grosses me out. A man said that you could drink the water that's just sitting on top of the ground. I personally do not think that is true. I may not be able to drive yet, but I know that there are people out there who drive crazy and have wrecks in front of our farm. Our street cannot hold the amount of people now, so how are they going to hold the amount of people when all these people move in? I don't want to be in a wreck when I start driving. I may not be in charge of schools, but I know that there's lots of kids at my school, and I don't know how many more we can fit in there. Finally, I may not be able to vote yet, but I know I want to live in a clean and strong community that has a bright future. I may not when I get older, I want to have a farm so I can have a happy place in life. This place does not need to have jam-packed houses in there. No 247.
Thank you. Thank you. Arthur Stewart, Stu?
Mr. Mayor, Commission, Ms. Jones, Mr. Grooms. My name is Arthur Stewart. I live at 6790 Polk Lane. I apologize. I've got a condition and it impacts, so I talk like Robert Kennedy. I've been to pretty much every one of these meetings. I've never spoken, but I've sent an email and text to most of you. Most of you replied, and we had a great conversation, even though we disagree on a lot of points. And I respect that. The ones that didn't reply, I have no respect for. None. One thing that this commission has never discussed, and it's in your website. You have a thing called a strategic plan. It's under your tab. And in that strategic plan is what's called a SWOT analysis. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You did one in 2021, and you did it again in 2024, last year. Not one of you has reviewed it. In that, opportunities, you talked about growth. In both 2021 and 2024. Also, you talked about threats. And these are the things that you listed under threats. Planned and balanced growth. This is not planned and balanced growth. Not 247 homes on 100 acres of property. Demand for services, you listed that. Environment, you listed environment. Does the STEP system, is it environmentally friendly? I don't think so. Traffic, infrastructure, all those things you listed them. Not us. And you disregarded it. Not only that, the city attorney at the July study session told you, and if you don't believe me, go to the video at 49.24. She says, follow the zoning tech. Follow the zoning tech. And a comment was made, well, we can waive it. And your response, ma'am, was, no, you can't waive it. You can do a fudge around. You disregarded the planning commission. Some of you sit on the planning commission.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank
Kim
you,
Bella.
Good evening. My name is Kim Vella, and I live at 1845 Terrapin Branch Road in Mount Pleasant. And I'm here to express my my displeasure with the way the plan of services has come about. I wanted to record my my concern for the way that the commission has not really listened to the citizens of Mount Pleasant and the basic disregard for the objective facts as well as the law. And I wanted to go on record with my disapproval of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Ellison.
Good evening, Paul Ellison, 1845 Terrapin Branch. I was going to come up here and just briefly say that I just oppose and sit down, but I did want to share something with you, which is initially it was almost like the people that weren't inside the city limits were being disregarded. And I'm going to tell you, I go to Langdon's and get my hair cut. I go to the pizza place. I eat cupcakes there. You know, I go to all these places around here and support this community. And I think a lot of the other people from the county do as well. So we may not be here electing you and doing these things, but I appreciate the opportunity to speak on the behalf of the people from the county, because we are important. And unlike other people that have to go down Trotwood, we're kind of like on Terrapin Branch, where I can go this way to Columbia or that way to Columbia. But if I go this way to Columbia, this way, I can go and do all these things here at Mount Pleasant. If you all do this and vote this in, I'm probably not going to do that anymore. And I think I represent a lot of other people that won't do it either, and they'll go the back way to Columbia. And they won't have to deal with the traffic and everything that you've already heard in here. So clearly I oppose adamantly to this, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Katie Martin.
My name is Katie Martin. I live at 206 South Cherry Street here in Mount Pleasant. I'm here tonight as a resident who has spent months listening to this community and documenting their concerns. Since September, our group has held more public engagement activities about this development than the developer or any official on this board who has supported it. Together, we organized weekly meet and greets, hosted multiple petition signing events, and spoke directly with residents all over town and in neighboring communities. As you can see from the pins on this map over here, the signatures represented hundreds of people who oppose this development. And it's important to note that this opposition is not an isolated pocket. It is spread across the city, including heavy numbers downtown. During these conversations, many residents said they were told by city officials or commissioners that this proposal was a done deal and that attending hearings wouldn't matter. Comments like that, intentional or not, discourage public participation and erode trust. What we're facing with this 247 home development is not just a zoning or annexation issue. It reflects a pattern known as local government capture, the public sector equivalent of a hostile takeover. In the corporate world, outside pressure overrides leadership. In local government, private interests begin to outweigh citizen voices and weaken the oversight meant to protect the public. That is exactly our concern here. This is how government capture appears in real life. Private pressure grows while public access shrinks. This project continues forward despite environmental red flags, sensitive soils, documented battlefield land, and TDEC's warning about step system failure rates in Tennessee. These are not small concerns. They directly affect our water, our infrastructure, and our safety. And I want to emphasize, this is our water, our roads, our history, and our responsibility to future generations in Mount Pleasant. Your own planning commission voted unanimously against this plan of services. That should matter to each and every one of you, especially the ones on the planning commission. Tonight, the community is asking you to uphold the core duty of elected service, protect the public interest above private pressure, protect our drinking water, protect our historic land, protect the trust the community has placed in you when they elected you into office. A vote no is not anti-growth. A vote no is pro-safety, pro-transparency, and pro-community. And if I have time, this was a zoomed-in portion of the petition signatures where we dropped pins on the addresses. And we've included those in the packets that Mr. Ellison.
Thank you, Ms. Martin.
Have a wonderful night.
Thank you. Lee Bork.
My name is Lee Burke, and I live at 6758 Polk Lane, in Columbia address, but I live in Mount Pleasant. I'd like to share with you from my personal experience to highlight an important point that I don't believe has been covered in any of the discussions throughout the entire process here. In 1986, I bought a home in Clayton County, Georgia, south of the Atlanta airport. 15 years later, state officials issued repeated warnings to a group of newly elected and inexperienced school board members that they were taking actions well outside the scope of their authority. The warnings went unheeded, and the school system became the first in U.S. history to lose its accreditation. What happened? Housing values in the county fell dramatically. County homeowners lost untold millions of their equity. People with kids planning to apply for a college wanted to sell and move to another county where their diplomas would be recognized, but many couldn't because of the drop of the home values only in Clayton County. And their loss of equity, they couldn't afford homes elsewhere. They were stuck in Clayton County, and so were their kids. When we retired, and came to Tennessee, my home in Clayton County sold for what I paid for it 28 years earlier. I was glad to get out, but I lost every bit of equity that had been built up prior to the debacle with the school board system. Shifting to Mount Pleasant. When I came here looking in 2013, my realtor said, don't look at Mount Pleasant, they have water problems. So I bought here only because we had found a home that was on Columbia Water. Right or wrong, well-publicized problems with its water and wastewater systems have been blamed on past decision-making by city leadership. If there is a newsworthy failure of any step system here, or even newsworthy environmental litigation as a result, Mount Pleasant's already fragile reputation may be broken beyond repair. What'll happen? I think property values will fall just like they did in Clayton County. Property tax revenues will fall as well because the home values will drop. Residents will lose some or all of their home equity. New businesses will shy away, and the city's downtown revitalization efforts will be set back, if not wasted. It's a very, very difficult cycle to turn around, and it could take us decades to recover. I believe you have a lot of new information to consider, and I'm actually confident that you are realizing that denial of this project is the right decision to protect and grow our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Shannon Truelove. Got it at home.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Sharon Truelove, 1044 South Cross Bridges, Mount Pleasant. And we are dependent upon the water provided to us by the city of Mount Pleasant. And I want to go on record as opposing both the annexation and the plan of services. And we support the Planning Commission's unanimous decision that it is not at all feasible. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Chris Truelove.
Hi, my name's Chris Truelove. I live with my wife at 1044 South Cross Bridges Road. I don't talk very well, so try and make it short. I think you really need to think about what's going on here. I mean, if just last year, the project across the freeway kind of went south on everybody as well. So really think about what's going on. And I'm an engineer. I've been looking at step systems, and they don't sound good to me no matter how you, because there's a whole lot of underground work that needs to be done to make them function properly. And that's very, very expensive. So I'm gonna kind of push for a no on this as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rainey?
Good evening to all. My name is Joel Rainey, 6740 Polk Lane. We've been at it for 5 months now, first planning commission on this topic was on July the 8th. All of you now know that we don't agree with R3 zoning. Annexation in Mount Pleasant is a good thing. And the plan of services is basically a non-plan of services, instead deferring critical elements to the developer, which I do understand is within your scope, okay? The step system is a terrible choice, as witnessed by the Planning Commission, unanimous 5-0 vote not to approve the plan of services, with one of those also serving here tonight on the City Commission. I believe each of you were present at the November 24th meeting for that vote. This change from the original approval on July the 8th was at least in part due to the letters and notices received outlining the discrepancies and lack of certification of the company declared to oversee the step system in Sewerfield. I think it's safe to say that this step system in no way benefits the city of Mount Pleasant and could possibly place another sewer liability on you as our legislative body, along with us as citizens. None of this is new information. You have heard this from us numerous times. So with that in mind, it occurred to me that probably we, I probably could say a plural, would like to hear what this commission has to say tonight in the form of a vote. I know you said you're not going to, but I respectfully request that when the proper time arrives, that one of you will make a motion followed by a second to vote on the items of tonight's agenda. This is a duplicate of the Planning Commission agenda 2 weeks ago, but there was a resolution during that meeting and a vote was cast. As I read and educated myself a bit about municipal public hearings, I found that it is very common, if not most often the case, that a vote follows a public hearing. Assuming that is correct and within the confines of this study, it would seem unnecessary for you to delay until you meet next week, Tuesday, 12/16. You have us all here tonight with a single motion and a second, excluding whatever words y'all might have to say to share. A vote on both annexation and services could be completed quickly. We could all go home at least knowing what you think is the proper course of action so that we could begin determining ours. Thank you for the time offered me tonight to speak and your service to this community.
Thank you. Or anything you'll speak to that later. Danette Pomaski.
Good evening, y'all. Hello. All right, I'm here today to officially go on record stating that I do not support the plan of services or the annexation for the 247 Trotwood Polk Lane proposed build. I am very much against ruining the battlefield and the history related with that. I am 100% completely against the use of any step system in this area whatsoever. I mean, it's a 50-50 crapshoot on something contaminating our water, and we already have very little as it is. Now, we've already have meetings that we have to go to for this water thing now, so we're all getting involved like y'all want us to, but I mean, this is just a hard no for everybody, any resident here. The third thing is we don't want this to be Spring Hill. I avoid it like the plague up there. We all have to drive on Trotwood. A lot of us only have one exit out onto Trotwood, and we can barely get out now. The 757 in Columbia plus the 247 is just going to be ridiculous out there. It's just not smart growth. I'm not opposed to growth. I'm opposed to this obsessive greed type growth. We're using, if the R3 was going to be a apartment building or something to that nature close to downtown, affordable apartments at that rate, that would be one thing. But this is in the middle of nowhere. Nobody can walk. It's just going to congest everything. So I would like you all to please consider voting no on both annexation and the list of services for this 247. Appreciate your time. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Chris Gramley.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Gramling. I'm at 1001 Sheepneck Road. I have so many feelings going through my head. This is shocking that we're even considering doing this. I want to
sound hyperbolic or disrespectful, but it just sounds like a vote yes for this is insane on so many levels. It's civic suicide. I won't overstep my bounds. It sounds like absolute career suicide to vote yes on this. Look at this room of people, how earnest they are. They care deeply about this. I've got places to be. I've got a bunch of animals I got to take care of. A herd of animals waiting for me right here, right now, tonight. They need me now. And I will stay here as late as we need to be because I'm so passionate about it. I want to take a step back, though, and look, we all know the facts. The facts are obvious. It's totally evident. It's been laid out. Lawyers have presented it. The public's presented it. That's very obvious. But let's look at what does it mean to be a human and a good human being? What about integrity? Where is the integrity in doing this? You know, we all pray. We pray before. I don't want to speak for. I shouldn't say we all, but I would think that a majority of people in this room pray and we share the same religion. Are these Christian ideals to do this? It sounds like works of the flesh to me. It doesn't sound like fruits of the Spirit. That's all I got. I hope, and obviously I'm against it.
All right, we have had 5 individuals come up and said that they would like for Dustin Kittle to speak for them, please.
Dustin Kittle, 2279 Santa Fe Pike. And as a procedural note, if the developer is going to speak, I want to reserve at least 3 minutes for rebuttal on that, if that's okay with the city attorney. Yeah. I'm going to go through all of the reasons as to why this is already over. And I'm going to explain that from a procedural standpoint, from a legal precedent standpoint. First of all, this could have never been passed. And it was a dead letter from the very beginning, and I'll explain why. For an annexation, there can be no contingencies at the end of the day. There is no case that we can find in Tennessee courts or outside of Tennessee in other states where a municipality could annex and have a contractor that would be involved that still would not be approved for their final certification. Where that comes into play is if you were, as a city, to annex this property. We've heard a lot of people talk about Edge wastewater tonight, and I'm not going to disparage anybody. I'm going to just state the facts on where things are. When you're dealing with a private sewer contractor, they have got to get approval from the state separately. We would be dealing with a completely different situation here if this was a case where they were asking to connect the Mount Pleasant sewer, because the commission could approve that. No different than them obtaining a letter from Columbia Water. And we can disagree as to whether Columbia Power and Water should be handing this out like candy as far as these water approval letters, but still they do have the power to grant that. What we don't have in this case is a certification involving the private wastewater provider. And that's why I say this was a dead letter from the very beginning. I don't think that you could ever have a case that would pass judicial muster. In other words, if there was an appeal filed, that it would be approved in a situation like this, because of the fact you would always have a contingency. And your nightmare scenario here, and I don't think they would disagree with me as far as the developer and the wastewater provider. It's just a fact that you have to get state approval after the fact. And what we're dealing with here is a contingent sale. So if the owner already had this property, they could petition the state and they could get their certification as a wastewater provider. Then it could be annexed. What you can't have is the situation we have here where you have a contingent sale. So they can't go and get their state certification right now. They can't get that until this body approves the annexation, which they cannot do because there's a contingency there. And I'm going to tell you, it's not just a contingency, it is a reality that, based on my experience, I think the Edge could have difficulties as far as obtaining their licensure. And the reason being is if you look at the application for a wastewater provider, when they go to get this tariff for this property, if annexation was passed, one of the things that has to be listed is the principal that's involved with the company, not just the company, but the principal involved. Have they had any prior failures? Do they have any past history of violations? And again, I don't think that the developer or the wastewater provider would disagree with these points. The principal of Edge Wastewater is Mr. Nix. Mr. Nix was previously affiliated with Adenas. It's my understanding that he has indicated that he resigned in 2024. But if you look at that Federal Clean Water Act case that's been filed by the Sierra Club and the Southern Environmental Law Center, the violations go back to 2021. And so the issues in that case and then the ties with Adenas alone should be enough to not vote for this. Rob Mulkin, who got up here on behalf of the engineering firm, and I would say this just as far as giving advice. The engineering firm and the wastewater provider should be very careful not to list the same address when they post things in a plan of services, because it might lead somebody to believe that they're in cahoots on something. I would also say that when they mention a soil analyst that has approved this, as far as really overriding what are NRCS maps, which should be the governing standard because you're dealing with federal there, I can get an expert to say anything I want to. I can pay any expert in this country to say that those soils would be okay or to say that they won't. There are hired guns out there everywhere. If you look at the independent analysis on this, the state of Tennessee, when they've looked at these systems, they've said that they fail. And as a final point here, and this is why I say that this is over. Number one, the only thing that's in the record as far as a benefit on this is the revenue return. If you look at the case of City of Kingsport, which is a Tennessee State Court of Appeals case, the legal precedent says you have to have something more than tax revenue as far as a benefit. We have nothing else that's in the record. I would also say, just in putting the facts out there, I think everybody knows where the members of this commission sit. I think that they know that at best, for in the case of the developer, it's a 2-2 situation with a swing vote. The swing vote, though, happens to have served on the planning commission and has already cast their vote on the planning commission. And that vote cannot be reversed without new information being obtained. If new information is obtained, you have to reset the public hearing. So there is no way that a vote can be taken to approve this. At best, you can defer it and restart the process. And I'll reserve the balance of my time.
Thank you. Jack Mayer.
Appreciate the chance to speak before you guys tonight. I'm Jack Mayer, president of John Mayer Builders. Despite what you may have heard for the past 5 months, I'm a very proud second generation developer and home builder. I'm proud to stand before you guys today. I stand behind our company's track record and what we hope and plan to do here in the future. I didn't plan to speak today. Our office received a call and a message on my voicemail a couple hours ago. And that message threatened violence against my father and I on the eve of this meeting. I haven't spoken at any public meeting to this point. Didn't plan to. To me, this is a chance for the public to give their opinion, and we've heard that. What I would like to say is, it's been mentioned more than a few times today and in past meetings that no one has spoken publicly for this. I've spoken to numerous individuals, whether people believe it or not, who are for this, business owners who know the difference more population can make on local businesses. What I question is whether people are given the fair chance to speak without being ostracized by their community. And so one of the things, I only have 3 minutes. I don't have enough time to address everything. But a couple points I would like to address tonight. We spoke with Tom Price before we ever brought this project forward. Many of you guys are familiar with who that is. What he told us is, make sure you preserve the ginkgo trees, and I absolutely won't stand in your way of this project. Obviously, he spoke multiple times against us. but we did that. It's been referenced water. We do have a fully reserved Columbia Water and Power letter. Obviously, the step system is a big talking point for everybody here. And are there failures on record? 100%. We're confident in its ability to handle the sewer. It's something that's used successfully across the state. There's one in Thompson Station that was built just a few years ago with $1 million houses that abut a step system, and they have no problem buying those houses. There's no pushback. The city of Spring Hill, where our business resides, they're under very active pursuance to build 3 of these to treat the city's sewer system, the BioClear system, a step system, the exact system that we're here talking about today. So the system is proven. We're confident in the ability for us to make a positive change in this community through the project we're going to build. I understand there's opposition, but I stand before you today proud of our history, our commitment to Mount Pleasant, and what we plan to do in the future. Thank you.
Jack, I'd just like to say one thing, you know, and I hope that's not true. I know I'm not supposed to speak, but I hope that is not true about what you said about, you know, a threat. 'Cause that's not.
That's horribly disappointing.
That's just, you know, that's not right. And I hope it's investigated.
Thank you. It's your.
Got a problem?
No.
Why'd you say sure?
And she asked if you could have your 3 minutes. I said, sure.
Sure. Hey, if this gets approved, y'all get me on Fox News after this. I mean, I'm serious. This
I said, sure.
outpouring of people, and listen, I'm not going to get in a back and forth. Certainly, nobody advocates violence against Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor I went back and I've watched every minute of these prior public meetings. Mr. Mayor has been very respectful through everything. There are certainly builders that are a lot worse than Mayor builders, and so I'm not going to disparage anything on that. The one thing that I'll say on all this, I think there's been a lack of transparency. And I would say that from the standpoint of the way that this was presented by the developer. When I go back and I watch those meetings, Mr. Davis specifically, but it also came up in the Planning Commission, the issues with the step systems in Wilson County came up. And there is one time where as soon as it came up, Mr. Mayor is up at the podium and he immediately defers. And I can't say exactly what was in his head, but it's difficult for me to believe that if you're a contractor that's choosing a wastewater service provider for this, you wouldn't do the due diligence to know that Mr. Nix had been involved with Adenas. And when you have Mr. Mulkin that comes up and perhaps misstates a few times that Adenas could come in and do the maintenance for this. Again, it's not a close call. It is a case that is so overwhelming in the evidence. If this commission votes in favor of the plan of services or annexation, and I'll just tell you, if you vote down the plan of services, annexation doesn't mean anything. And I don't think that these people aren't willing to see something happen with that property. Nobody wants this to remain stagnant, but there's no way this plan of services passes muster. And I've made the commitment. I told people, if you come out to this public hearing and you made your point stated, I'll handle the appeal on it for free. And not only that, when I sue, if I had to on this to overturn it, and I don't think that we will, but if I had to, I would sue individually because it wouldn't be right for the taxpayers to have to get the burden, because ultimately everyone here has been put on notice as to what the issues are. And that creates a willful violation, which would allow for attorney's fees to be repaid to whichever client that I bring forward as far as that appeal is concerned. And I don't say that as any kind of threat. I say that as a reality of the matter. This is not close. There's no gray area here. It's black and white. And I encourage the commission to vote no. And I would encourage them to vote no tonight because it's already over. These people came up here and fought a Christmas parade. I walked 3/4 of a mile to get here. The mayor had to hobble in after a knee surgery. I don't know why we had to schedule it for tonight, But I'll get it overturned on
Interesting.
that. That's a procedural defect too. You could never have a.
Michael Caslow.
Thank you.
I already spoke before, and I stand by what I said. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. Teresa Sparks.
Teresa Sparks, 3192 East Sheet Neck Road. I'm here tonight because of the step system in Thompson Station. I was a resident of Thompson Station for 25 years. In 2004, I stood before the Board of Aldermen in Thompson Station raising the same concerns. Their outcome should serve as a direct warning for this city. Thompson Station began with a wastewater system that looked inexpensive because the developers were going to build it. And they did, but within a few years, the lagoons, the pumps, the drip fields, and the lines were overloaded and under-engineered. And the moment the system became a liability, it was given to the town. The documents, you can read the documents. Once that happened, residents of the town became the financial backstop, likely to avoid liability for the Board of Aldermen's approval of this system. Over the past decades, Thompson Station has spent tens of millions of dollars on emergency upgrades, engineering studies, redesigns, and regulatory compliance. Their largest single fix, a conversion from failing lagoons to an MBR plant. If you don't know what that means, you're not qualified to make this decision. You better find out what an MBR is. Exceeded $15.4 million. None of this was planned, none of it was optional, and none of it was paid by the developers. Instead, the burden fell on the taxpayers, the ratepayers, and the long-term residents who weren't even on the system. And this pattern is consistent. A system that begins developer-owned becomes town-owned. The moment it becomes expensive, and every problem becomes everyone in this room's problem. When they go bankrupt, do you know what happens? The town has to take responsibility for these systems. That has been proven over and over. And these failures don't appear in small increments. They come in 1 million. I was on the finance committee of Thompson Station. I know what I'm talking about. And it was a disaster. And we voted against it. It was the back door to development. Have you been to Thompson Station lately? That's why we're here. That's why we're residents of Culleoka, because it was out of control. And these are not small fixes. It started with $1 million. Then it went to 5 million. And then it went to 15 million for every break and every regulatory requirement and every funding. So tonight, I'm not even addressing the environmental
Thank you, Teresa,
issue.
very much.
Thank you.
Heidi Hoffman. Heidi Hoffman.
I'm Heidi Hoffman. I'm 610 Washington Avenue. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I moved here 10 years ago to Mount Pleasant because I wanted to live in a small town, and I found it here. I had lived in a small town previously when I was growing up, and this town met the criteria that I was looking for. I lived at 6786 Polk Lane when I moved here, and I would drive down Polk all the time to go to Columbia to shop. I didn't come here. When I moved in with my daughter and son-in-law, and one of the first things that they told me is that I needed to be careful when I went through the intersection of Polk Lane and Trotwood, because they had seen accidents there, bad accidents. One of them was mentioned tonight. And I said, oh, okay, well, I'll take that into consideration. So I was very careful. I was also told that there was going to be a stoplight put in there 8 years ago. Nothing happened. Maybe it was a rumor or gossip. 2 years ago, I read somewhere online that a stoplight was going to go in at that intersection. Maybe another rumor or gossip, who knows? And then I just read online that that is in the works, that a stoplight will go in there. Well, my concern with mayor wanting to build 247 homes out there, it makes it plain to see that there's going to be an increase of 450 to 500, maybe more, extra cars on Trotwood, on Zion, on Old Zion. And that's not good because those are all 2-lane roads, and we've all been in traffic on those 2-lane roads. One thing that really comes to mind when I'm traveling down Old Zion is I notice that one side of the road is sinking and nothing's been done about it. That tells me that that land is prone to not absorbing the moisture that it's getting. It's just sinking there, and it's not. I don't know if you can widen the road. I don't know if you can widen Trotwood. I don't know if you can widen Zion, but 247 homes cannot take the extra increase in cars. Can you imagine, maybe as I can, the increased danger at any of the intersections that those homes will affect? About 8 years ago, the moral of what I'm trying to get to is that the city seems to have ignored the residents. I applaud everyone who has come out here tonight. I think this is very encouraging to see this, and I do not come here to speak very often.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, would anybody else care to speak on this? All right, Corey, what's our next steps?
The next steps are that there is the deliberation and vote on these two issues, as well as a public hearing and a vote on the R3 zoning that's proposed on December the 16th, next Tuesday. These same topics will be on the study session for Thursday. I know that there has been a request to vote tonight. The public notice that was put in the paper and mailed to many of you scheduled a public hearing tonight, not a special called meeting for a vote. So as we are trying to follow the process perfectly, which is our duty, we will have the vote on Tuesday. Yes, sir.
Okay, I mean, just like if I requested a vote tonight, more than likely it would be void and done away with, right?
Correct. This meeting was only set for a public hearing, not for a vote. So it's my recommendation is that you have the vote on Tuesday as advertised. So if this public hearing is closed, my recommendation now is that you close the meeting altogether. We
got one last thing. Any general comment from citizens? Yes.
Can I say one more?
Yes, sir.
Jeff Brewer, 4164 Williamsport Pike. I just wanted to address this. The developer said that he spoke with Tom Price, and I don't know where Tom Price is tonight, but I can tell you this. I'm not 100% sure from Tom's point of view, but I don't think anybody here knew that this was listed as a essential battlefield, one of 38 in Tennessee by the American Battlefield Trust and by Congress, until I found that. I've not spoken with anybody, including people in the American Battlefield Trust, that knew that. So I don't know how he could have talked to Tom Price about that, and Tom said, just go ahead, just save the ginkgo trees. But anyway, I'm just letting you know that I don't know where the communication broke down, but that was information that was not known when this process started. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a public comment if I'm allowed. It was my impression that a public hearing we would have feedback from you guys. That was the whole purpose of the public hearing. So you can provide us your stance, like, I mean, am I wrong? If I'm wrong, just let me know.
They will deliberate and vote on it on Tuesday. Will the citizens be allowed to public comment?
No.
They will deliberate on, vote on it on Tuesday.
In reasoning for their.
Yes. Deliberation. Yes, sir.
Corey, I mean, Thursday night, we're having a study session. So you're all welcome to come back Thursday night and hear us debate this, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
And on Tuesday.
And on Tuesday.
And on Tuesday.
And I would welcome you to come back.
We want to know where you all stand. Out of it.
Y'all know where I stand.
I'm going to choose what our attorney says.
Yeah.
All right. No more public comments? Thank y'all.
We got one right here.
Bridget Davis, 618 Brookside Drive. As someone who moved here for the historic nature of this town, the small town, the atmosphere here, I find it sickening. Absolutely sickening that this is continuing. And I'll wait because I would like the attention of the full council. It's very apparent to people that minds are made up and it's wrong. And 5 of you, how is that going to be fair? There's no way to win this for this community. There's just no way, because the majority is always going to stick together and win. We will keep coming and supporting this beautiful community because we care about it. We elected you all. We'd like you all to hear us. We want to move forward with supporting this community, and we will continue to show up at these meetings to have full transparency. I respect all of you. I'm asking you to respect this community because we deeply care. I've never seen anything like this in my life, and I'm so proud to be part of this community. But we do need your attention on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
30 seconds.
Sure.
And I'll do it from right here. When you guys deliberate the next time, and when you talk on this issue, if the mayor cannot justify the 0.007% comment, he should resign. I'm just being frank with you on that. That was a misrepresentation. We've looked at the records that's come in, and I wouldn't have said that except for the remark that was made as I came back up to the podium. It shouldn't be that way. That was a misrepresentation. The record showed the exact opposite of it, and it was an attempt to gaslight this process. And it could have got steamrolled, it could have got voted through, but for all of these people here, this should not have ever been necessary. So many people are having to sacrifice to come up here tonight. Shouldn't have happened. But I think that there should be justification for that comment at the next meeting.
Thank you. All right, thank y'all very much. Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'll be brief. My name's Greg Wade, 113 Century Oak, Franklin, Tennessee. May I ask you a question?
We can talk after the meeting.
No, I would like to know, are you paid by the city of Mount Pleasant?
I am.
So you represent the city of Mount
That's
Pleasant.
correct.
So your opinion is dictated by the city of Mount Pleasant.
My opinion is in the best interest of the city of Mount Pleasant.
Okay, thank you. I just want to clarify that. I wanted to say one thing. We've talked a lot about all the different issues that are totally important. But I want everyone here to think about one thing. The fighting that took place out here were boys from Indiana, Illinois, Alabama, Georgia. They were kids. They were almost this young man's age back here. We're talking about putting a development where people died. Columbia has, and Mount Pleasant has, tremendous assets that you guys can put to use to bring in positive revenue without
destroying this land. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
How can you say yes and everybody saying no?
Good point. Good point. Yeah.
All right. Meeting is closed, looks like.